Hello there. My name is Mark, aka the Canadian Jedi, and this is episode 112 of Holocron Chronicles. Charlie is flashing some bling.
Rebels
Rebel
all.
bling. Absolutely very pertinent to what we'll be talking about later. Charlie, how you doing tonight?
I'm good, man. Andor, boy, we've had a few weeks to the rest of us to mourn the passing of this program, but get ready to go through it all again because we're going to end it all over again.
Yeah. I've liked going through this show at kind of our own pace, being able to tackle it how we want to in these 3-episode chunks every 2 weeks, jumping in. It's not. There was no way for us with the format of this show to keep up with the reviews in a topical way. But this has allowed me to take a step back and then go and rewatch things. So we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. I have to introduce a returning guest to the show, Crafting on Ilum. Welcome back. It is amazing to have you back. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me back for the third time.
Yes,
my third time.
Three.
Yeah,
right.
We're gonna have to design up like the Five Timers Club, like they have on SNL. Everybody gets a robe, and they got to do a sketch in the little lounge we built, virtual lounge that we built for them. So I don't think we've had any 5 times, but maybe extra Peter. Peter's definitely been on 5 times.
Peter, I would say, there's a few people that have at least been. I'd say 3 is a lot, though.
Yeah, definitely.
But that's because
we stick with the good ones. We bring back the good ones. Yeah,
absolutely. I don't know. Like, there's been a couple of like repeat guests, 1 or 2, but like 3, then you're then you're family. We're talking like fast.
I'm in the club.
Kind of
Yeah.
When you hear your family, it's like Olive Garden. Anyway, before we get into the end of Andor, let's talk briefly, as we always do, about the wonderful people in our Secret Friends Unite Patreon. These are the folks who get the exclusive programs, like our great interview segment. We've had a lot of great ones, a lot of more coming up. Early shows, ad-free shows, Discord benefits for as little as $2 a month after having 7 days for free. And your first month, even that first month, is 50% off. So, oh my goodness. So how could you not do that? These folks know what's going on. My buddy Derek Trevelyan here in EGR is the figure dude. Francine, who does my wife's hair. Luke Lohr, who was on with us to talk about Batman versus Superman over on SFU just last night. That's Mr. Xbox Expansion Pass. And my uncle Tim Horan down there in South Haven. Also John Sedorf, Brendan Myers, Corey HD, Matthew Keel, my buddy Kurt Krug, who helps me with those aforementioned interviews, Tanya Lee, Chipotle Bear, Famous Seamus, Jay Newport 007, Cam the Movie Man. Now we're going to circle back there in a quick second because this is his extra special week. And Brian Asherman, a.k.a. Darth Prozac. So let's take a step backwards to talk about Cam the Movie Man. Now, Mark, you've got some perspective about Cam. He's been with us on the show.
Before we do that, Secret Friend Super Squad, Sean Stella and Henry Nias.
Absolutely.
Missed him again.
No, I didn't miss it. I always like to cap it. That's my cap.
Right. That's me jumping the gun because I love that family so much.
Good folks.
Yes. Sorry. Let's circle back to Cam the Movie Man. Cam's been on the show. Cam, if you're not following him on Instagram, Cam the Movie Man does movie news faster than like some of the big, like the second it's up on the big announcement movie sites, he's got like a video or a graphic made up, and I don't know how he does it. So Cam's pretty quick with the movie news, the movie reviews, the stuff to keep you up to date. So if you're not following, go give him a follow. So we have to think of a Star Wars race and a job.
Well, I don't think that's hard at all, because when I think Cam, I think camera, and so he is some kind of a camera droid, and he is
droid.
Yeah, he's out there. He's Entertainment Weekly style, Hollow Newsnet, but he's on our side, so he's not a imperial propaganda bot. He's out there spreading the good news on Coruscant, maybe during the Republic period when things were still pretty okay. But yeah, he's out there. He's a droid he's a very old droid. He's wise, so he's been around since maybe the High Republic times. Maybe he was the first camera bot that was ever invented. So he's vintage, but giving us all those big scoops. We probably need him when Madam Web finally dies off on the SFU podcast. We might need Cam the droid camera bot over there to get us all our news. So I'll have to pitch that.
Finally showing her age at 786 years old.
It's amazing. She's older. She's like Yoda. Yeah, it's crazy.
Tiara, do you have a species and a job that you would like to give Cam the Movie Man?
I don't know. I don't know him too well to pick him a job. If I had to pick a job,
just randomly give stuff.
It's the beauty of improv.
Absolutely, it can have absolutely no relevance to his person. Just randomly name two different things, and that's what he's stuck with. That's what I love.
It's Mad Libs. Do it.
Gosh, I'm trying to think of all the species I've ever seen, like in a show or whatever. What is the species of the Hutts? They're just called the Hutts, right?
Yeah, okay. Hutts, you got it.
Hey, he's a Hutt press person, media person. He does Hutt media.
So he's got the big. They have to have a really big. Do they swallow their microphone every once in a while because they're always eating everything? I don't know. It'd be kind of weird.
Yeah, he just covers all their like crimes and missions and all that. That's what he covers. Yeah.
Oh my god. So it's like, do you remember Danny DeVito's role in LA Confidential, where he's like a sleazy tabloid newspaper guy? So it's like that. Yeah.
Let's go with that. Yeah.
Cam on the streets.
Yeah.
That is fantastic. I love that you went with that. Like the seedy underground reporter.
Right.
For the Hutts.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm gonna go in a slightly different direction with this because Cam kind of sounds like Kaminoan.
That's I like that. Yeah.
And I'm upgrading Cam from movie reporter to movie maker. So this is the Kaminoan,
like Spielberg.
Yeah. This is but also like kind of got to start making some like promotional videos for like the cloning and stuff. So I was like, really, like, really to the ground. Like, a lot of directors get their start doing music videos and stuff. I can see him doing that with like a group of clones that just started a rap group or something.
They do hit those bars in Coruscant, that 79, 76 bar or whatever.
Yeah, right. Yeah, see
karaoke night, open mic.
All the drunk of the guy with the death sticks up there doing your version of Paradise by the Dashboard Lights. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so Cam got his start filming edgy music videos for clone boy bands and rap groups. And blew up into the biggest director on Camino.
That's nuts. I love it.
That's what he's doing. Those are three fantastic and very different answers. Cam, let us know which one was your favorite. Or if you hate all of them.
That's okay.
And we won't do anything about it. We're not going to change our answers.
We just want to know or not know. It's one of those. It matters, but it doesn't matter. I don't know. It's a fine line. But it matters because you're one of our great Patreons. And keep in mind, if you're listening to this and you want to get involved in the fun, patreon.com/Secret Friends Unite. 7 days for free. If you join up, you get your own Star Wars job and race. You also get one from Star Trek over on the video game show. You guys do one, and then I have one. We have one, obviously, on the main show as well.
Video game power-ups always go in a very weird direction.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
And I change the rules every time. So sometimes it's like you get this power up in whatever game you play. Other times it's you take a power up from a video game into the real world. Makes no sense. It's, whose line is it anyway? Everything's made up and the points don't matter.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. How I'm feeling.
I love it. Good deal.
Yeah. Well, I think, Tiara, you like you said, you've been here 3 times. We've done the introduction. very quickly before we break into Andor, anything new and exciting you would like to talk about? Give us a little update about what's going on, or do you just feel like jumping straight into the news?
No, yeah. I mean, I have a couple of things. I mean, they're still in my brain. They're a ways off because I'm a procrastinator. But Rebel ScumCon and Legends Expo, I think they just changed their name to something else now, Legends something. But those two conventions are coming up, which I'm planning some cosplays around, a Legends cosplay for Legends Expo, and then Rebel ScumCon, I've been working on my Shmi Skywalker cosplay.
Nice.
And I've posted some updates about that, but just with everything going on in the world, I'm just like, I just need a second,
Yeah,
before I
yeah.
just continue on with the chaos of cosplay. It just seems so insignificant, but I do have to get it done before this convention.
Yeah.
So working on that, and I am excited for it. It's a lot of work. Cosplay is a lot of work. I enjoy it
Yes.
thoroughly, but it is
Oh,
a lot
yeah?
of work.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
And if you're I'm a fellow procrastinator, have the
Yes.
t-shirt and the badge, and
Yeah.
and that always means like night before, morning of.
Yeah.
You're
Right.
like, okay, where's the hot glue gun? 'Cause
Yeah.
this piece fell off.
Yeah.
How do I
Exactly.
super glue this onto my body?
Yeah.
The last con I was at with the Captain Canada thing, one of my
Mm.
arm gauntlets fell off.
Oh no.
Like while I was in the lineup for the costume contest. So I
Ooh.
ran over to the table and I glued it onto my arm, like glued it shut because it was on with magnets. But when it fell off, the magnets popped off and went everywhere.
Ugh.
I wasn't going to find them. So I literally glued myself into this arm
You
gauntlet
do what you
and
gotta
then had
do.
to peel it off afterwards.
Oh my goodness.
It had dried and hardened. It's just like, okay, this is, if I break it, I break it. Contest is over.
You're just it's a part of you now. Like you
Right.
can
was-
no
I
longer
was
take it off. It's
fully
just
ready.
part of your identity. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Fully ready to just be like, okay, well, this is part of me now, but
Right.
it's not there. So so it turned out, but like it's always fun, and I find that like rush leads to some of the fun. Sometimes,
Yeah.
other times it leads to more stress than it's
Yes.
worth.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Can you give us a hint of what you're thinking about doing for Legends, or is that like under wraps?
It's a very I always forget her name, but it's so in Legends, Boba Fett has a wife. And I always forget her name, like I
Mrs.
always forget
Fett.
her stuff. Let me look it up real quick. Boba Fett's but it's I based it off of some like fan art. There's like one or two comics, I think, or a novel that showcases like a split image of her. But I just kind of went on Pinterest and Google and was like looking at different fan art photos of her. So I'm just throwing something together. Gosh. Synta's
Synta's
Bell.
Bell?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
There
wow.
you go. Yeah.
Nice. Deep cut.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I've got a
Awesome.
blue wig. We're gonna do the whole face tattoos that she has, so it'll be fun.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah,
Excellent.
Rock
It's
and
gonna
roll.
be really cool. Can't wait to see it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Is that like an exclusive? We got the exclusive. Like, can you announce
Did
it
we
anywhere
scoop
else
it?
and I missed
I
it?
think I might have posted about it once,
shoot.
but
Okay,
because
alright.
because I'm a
out.
procrastinator and I haven't posted any updates or even worked on it since I got the materials.
Sort of scoop if your memory sucks like
Right.
mine.
Yeah,
It could be a
That's
scoop.
great. That's great.
It's new to
Um,
you. Yeah.
Well, I can't wait. Cons are so much fun. I saw tickets just opened up for the next con I'll be going to in the fall, which
awesome.
is like depressing to think about because like summer's barely even here. And
Right.
it's already like tickets are up for an event in like that's happening after my birthday in November. And it's just like that's so far away.
Yeah.
Why is that on sale? But it's also fun to like, okay, but what am I gonna do for it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
love that. Yeah,
So I got to start thinking. I got to start planning. That's awesome. I hope you have a great time at both, and I
Thank
can't wait
you.
to see how
Yeah.
everything turns out. Let's jump straight into Andor. I don't think
Let's
there's any
party.
news that happened this week that
Mm-mm.
we need to talk about, like at all.
Mm-mm.
I think I did see something where they're planning something for the 50th anniversary of Star Wars in 2027.
It'll be here before you know it.
yeah.
I mean, hopefully, I would love original trilogies back in the theater. I'd go like in IMAX or something like that. I would go see.
The rumors that I was seeing was original release cuts.
Oh,
man. I mean,
with
it's
before
It's funny because
tinkering and-
Lucas swore never again, but he's not driving the bus anymore.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We'll see what they do. That was the rumor I read. But anyway, that's all
Right.
rumors. It's like 2 years away. So, yeah, let's get into Andor. We've got 3 episodes, the final 3. Let's talk about these as a chunk because I think they work as a chunk, especially 11 and 12 is almost like.
Well, it's very unbroken. It just runs
Rewatching
all
them
the way
last
through.
night, and it's just like, why did you even run the credits on this damn thing? Like,
Yeah,
can we just have a super episode and call it a day?
Super episode.
It's just annoying to have to like skip the thing, and skip the intros and all that kind of.
Right.
I just want to like just lay here and just watch it go.
You're right.
So Charlie, you want to give us a breakdown?
All right, I will. Now, we had the same creative team. We had a director of Alonzo. I'm not even going to try. Somebody help me out with that last name. Rusa Plaxios.
Anybody? You know what? I'm going to give it to you.
I like it. Enough. Tom Bissell, he is not the vacuum cleaner guy, did the directing all 3 of these, and this was May 13th of this year. Episode 10 is Make It Stop. 1 year after the events of Gorman, Lonnie reports to Luthen that the Empire is building a secret weapon, the Energy Project, and that Dedra has likely uncovered their identities. Though Luthen initially promises him that his family is and his family safe passage to Coruscant, he kills him to keep him silent. That's kind of a bummer, but we do get a lost cat. Sadly. As Luthen covers up his tracks by destroying the communication systems in his shop, Dedra arrives to confront him. Luthen attempts suicide to avoid interrogation, but is taken alive to a hospital where Kleya watches him from afar. Flashbacks reveal that Luthen is a former Imperial sergeant who defected after his unit massacred Kleya's hometown. Finding Kleya hiding on a ship, he informally adopts her and they begin selling antiques while waging resistance against the Empire. In the present, Dedra is arrested for her overreach, and Kleya infiltrates the hospital and disconnects Luthen's life support, and he expires. Dun, dun, dun. Which leads us right into who else knows? Episode 11. Dedra is interrogated by Krennic, who admonishes her for allowing the Death Star plans to be leaked from her database and for confronting Luthen without sufficient backup. I can't believe she did that. The investigation into Dedra is assigned to her former assistant, Hirt, who identifies Kleya from the security footage. Partagas declares Kleya a public health concern to expedite her arrest. The way she cut through those stormtroopers, I can't disagree. In the Coruscant safe house, which is Cassian's old apartment, Kleya sends Willman a distress call, prompting him to send Cassian, Melshi, and K2 to retrieve Luthen, alienating the group further from the Yavin 4 leadership. Dedra gives Hirt insight into Luthen's communication technologies from her jail cell, enabling his team to track Kleya's signal to the safe house, where they arrive close behind Cassian and Melshi. Kleya passes on Luthen's crucial intelligence in case she gets whacked, but also asks to stay behind given the distrust that of Luthen amongst the rebels on Yavin. As Hirt's team closes in, K2 breaks in the building in pursuit, which was fantastic. Number 12, Jeddah, Kyber, Urso. K2 defeats Hirt and his team, but Kleya is wounded. Cassian, Melshi, K2 take her back to Yavin, where they are grounded by Organa for their disobedience. Much of the rebel leadership, including Organa, are scornful of Luthen and question the veracity of his new intelligence, but Mothma is willing to hear Kleya out. Vel speaks with Cassian, who convinces her of Luthen's integrity. The two toast to fallen comrades, while Kleya comes to terms with her new role on Yavin. Interrupted while listening to Nemec's Rebel Manifesto, Partagas commits suicide just as he is about to be arrested. Dedra is in prison in a prison facility, kind of familiar and similar to Narkina 5, and breaks down crying. When a rebel informant associated with Saw repeatedly contacts Yavin 4 to talk with Cassian, Draven realizes that the evidence for the Death Star is too great to be a trap. After meeting with Draven and Mothma, Organa agrees to let Cassian and K2 fly off to Kafrene to meet with the informant, Rogue One, but on Minarao, B is playing with another droid as Bix cradles a baby and looks wistfully onto the horizon. Scene.
Yeah, damn. All right. Holy, where to start with these? So, like,
Let's let our guest start, because I just didn't even. You're right. I don't even know what to say.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm right there with you. I think when I watched these episodes, after every single one, I was completely speechless, and that was me like all throughout
Mhm.
Andor in general for season 2. But like for these, it was just like, let's just keep going. Let's see where it like leads next. And then the very last scene of episode 12 is where I broke down. Like I did
Oh, man.
reaction videos on my YouTube channel, and I had
Yeah.
like tears and had to like, I was trying not to ugly cry on screen, but I did. And I was just thinking about like Luthen's line about like his whole speech in season 1, where it's like a sunrise he'll never see,
Sunrise, yeah.
Right.
and as he's
Yep.
as Bix is holding their child, I'm just like, this is Cassian's sunrise that he'll never see.
Right.
And so I just broke, and it was just poetry, and I love
Right.
that most of the, at least 80% or 90% of all of the ties, they were all knotted well, right? Like there was no like
Yeah.
plot holes or anything like that, or anything that was left out, at least in my opinion. So it was just nice to see like a smooth, solid conclusion that leads into Rogue One, and because I love Rogue One too. So yeah, it was just beautiful. I loved it.
I think that the only thing they didn't wrap up, and I think they said later like that was on purpose, was Cassian's sister.
Right.
The whole reason like he was
Yes.
trying, like that's how season 1 started, him trying to track her down and find her and all that kind of stuff. And I think now we're going to revisit Rogue One. I think that's going to be the next episode. Charlie and I talked before we started recording.
Awesome. Yeah.
But revisiting Rogue One in terms of like how this show changes that movie.
Yes.
And now watching that, it's my thinking might be, he projected the sisterly bond to Jin or to other people that,
the group of them, yeah, because they became this, very quickly this little family, you know what I mean? And, so, him not finding his sister is in a lot of ways just kind of underscores the inequities of life in general, you know what I mean? Because not every threat or every loss or everything you want to accomplish in the time that you have on Earth or in the universe in this case has a nice little conclusion one way or the other. So she could have never been alive. She could have never been alive. The in that very first episode that the other worker in that bar that he was in may not have even been telling them the truth, or may not have even been talking about the correct person. She may have never been anywhere. You just never know. But it was the butterfly effect. You know what I mean? That was the moment that started him down this path, because he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. And all that he accomplished was saving everyone over a course of 5 years.
Yeah. He definitely compensated for like the loss of his sister by trying to save everyone else, at least in my opinion, like always showing up for people and not leaving them behind.
Right.
That's it. Yeah. Like we saw repeated like time and time again through this season, especially when he got off of Gorman and then went to rescue Mon. Like it was just constantly, like it was just, someone needs to be saved. I'm the person to do it. We've got a whole base, like a whole rebel base, a whole fleet, a whole group of people. We see Melshi taking people, leading that battalion through the woods in these final scenes, and it's like, you've got X-wing pilots, you've got other fighters,
right?
Cassie, I know they trust him, and certain people like call on him to do missions, but it's like there are other people. But and Cassian at any time could have been like, no, call Melshi, I need a break, I need a Kit Kat. Like
he tried to at one point too, and Clea was like, nope.
Nope.
We're all in.
You're in this life now. There's everybody fights, nobody quits. Remember from the Starship Troopers? It's kind of like that deal.
Speaking of Clea, I couldn't help but think that episode 10 stood out a little bit as, don't get me wrong, don't come at me for saying this, because I loved the episode, but was it useless?
No.
Could they have written could they have not useless? Not completely. I'm being a little
no, but I mean, I think
Sorry.
I know where you're going, because you even said it in your notes. You made reference to Mando in the Book of Boba Fett, and
yeah, like was this like a side kind of thing? Did it detract from Andor's story? Or
no, I mean, that's the beauty, because I mean, we've had 2 seasons of Andor, and you're right. I gotta be honest with you, watching it, I didn't even think about the fact that he wasn't in the episode, because I was so locked in on the Luthen and Clea tale throughout the years. I didn't even notice he didn't show up, because but when it was Mando in a Book of Boba Fett episode and he wasn't in it at all, it was the sorest of sore thumbs, because it was like, wow, they can't even make a show about this guy. They got to stick in, they got to stick in a character that's popular.
This kind of hit me in the same way. It was Bix left Cassian. We've got Mon rescued. We got all this stuff happening, and then the next episode, this 3-episode chunk, picks up with an episode that he's not in at all. And as much as I loved it, loved the backstory, loved her character, it was just like, well, what if like Luthen just did kill himself? And it was like the same kind of thing. Like, could it have rolled in more? And like my brain just started asking those kind of questions. Like, I don't know. Could it have been written differently? And I loved how it was written, but it did, I have to admit, it did strike me as that like Book of Boba Fett style. Like, I love that Mando episode. So I loved seeing him, but like you said, it was like kind of jarring that it was the Book of Boba Fett. This is Andor, and we're not following the main character kind of thing. Right. So it was kind of a funny thing, because I know some people shit on the Book of Boba Fett for that, and they're praising this. I loved both, to put that into context. I appreciated the Mando episodes of Book of Boba Fett, and I appreciate this, but I do find that kind of funny that people are like, this was amazing, she deserves awards, and then they're like, but the Book of Boba Fett was trash because they needed an episode of Mando.
Well, yeah, like I said, I'll go back to saying I found this glaring. I found that glaring in a way that this just seemed like, well, these are characters that I love, and this is a story that all folds back onto itself. And I didn't feel his absence. So that was me.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like everything was intentional, like the way that they intertwine the flashbacks to what is happening, and I thought it was intentional as well to be at the very end, because Luthen, along with Saw, were like the very beginnings of the rebellion, and it was kind of just showcasing like them passing the baton. Like, now it's Cassian and Mon Mothma, and then after that, we go into episode 4, A New Hope. So I just felt like it was intentional to have it at the very end, and it was long overdue to get backstory on Clea and Luthen. And it wasn't just like we just stayed in the flashback, like it was intertwined with the present, showing like, I just felt like it put more weight on what Clea was doing, because we were kind of like inside her head, seeing like what it took to get her to where she is now. So for me personally, it didn't take me out at all. Like, I was just very much like, all right, like now's the time for that backstory that I've been waiting for, because everyone had their own headcanons about Luthen and Clea and all that. So I was happy with it.
Awesome. Yeah, like I said, I did love it, and I loved the weight that it added with the flashbacks and the everything. But I did have a chuckle to myself, especially rewatching it last night. Yeah, and like, Cassian doesn't show up in this whole damn episode. And people ripped on Book of Boba Fett for doing this.
He is the messenger, though. Thing. So he's, even though he's the like main character of his show, he's still the messenger, and so he gives way to like other people's stories. Is another way to look at it too. Like, even though it's called Andor, he's still the messenger.
Yeah. You don't shoot me, I'm the messenger, right? Except people are always shooting at him.
Absolutely. I did love 11 picking up with the frat house vibes, Cassian, Melshi, K2 playing cards.
Yeah.
Just anything with K2. And that's another reason why, again, that episode was, I couldn't wait. K2 wakes up and you're making me wait a whole episode to see him playing cards and being sassy and saying, I don't like it here, and all that kind of stuff with I loved that anything with K2 was great. What'd you guys think of this episode 11, the tactical stormtroopers? I think that's the first.
That's a solid. It's interesting. I watched some videos about like, why do they have so many stripped down? Like, why wasn't everybody stormtroopers? And they said maybe more so at this point. The more I think about it, this makes sense. But they were still designing things, or whatever. But like, we're 20 years in, so. But I'd like to see
New Hope. We've got a Death Star full of stormtroopers.
Yeah, I know. I like seeing the tactical stormtroopers, and it's kind of funny because wearing the armor doesn't save them anyway. I've never seen a stormtrooper survive getting shot.
They do.
What's the stormtrooper that survives getting shot?
Most of them. So this is an interesting bit. Most of the stormtroopers, unless they're on the Death Star and it blows up, but there's a lot of stormtroopers that recover. The what's the plastic or whatever it's called?
Duraplast, yeah,
Duraplast,
or plasteel, something like that.
Will absorb. I believe this is canon. It may be Legends, but there was something that the Duraplast would absorb rifle fire, laser, and basically it would just knock them out because of the concussive blast has to go somewhere. So it will knock out the stormtroopers, but unless you're hitting them in between the little bits, most of them don't die. Most of them recover and they wake up and they keep going. Obviously it doesn't work for a lightsaber or any of that kind of shit cutting through the ranks.
Right.
But
interesting. I had no idea.
Apparently that's a thing.
I thought, the old hacky bit about that was, the stormtroopers can't hit anything unless they do, and then the armor is good for nothing. So, but yeah, I like seeing. They can't. It's like Chris Evans with the Captain America hat. You can't see his pretty face if he's wearing the helmet all the time. But with this, maybe they really wanted the emotion of K2 mowing through these guys and smashing them and doing all this different stuff. So yeah, I like that. As a cosplayer too, I always like different variations of outfit. Like I am almost should ship in the next day or so, but I have my Cynar Systems pilot jacket coming. So you'll see me wearing that when it's winter and it's colder down here. You'll see me wearing that. Nice. It'll go on the rack over there.
Excellent. Yeah, I loved seeing K2 run through with this. I think possibly one of my favorite, I'll say memeable clips from this entire series. Maybe the "Are you with us?" No, backhand off of a bridge. K2 just walking up to the guy because it's a K2 droid.
Yeah.
They oh, are you with us? Oh, someone called backup. Sweet. You with us?
No.
Trump.
Yeah. It's so sarcastic, so great, and just the way he picks people up. And I want to circle back to that in the next episode. So I'm just going to run 11 and 12 right away.
Sure.
Between the two, I think some of the most maybe intentionally, but possibly unintentionally hilarious things in this season. The "Are you with us?" No, slamming troopers, throwing them like they're nothing. Anything with K2 is fantastic. But even Melshi freezing, and then they're don't move. And he just kind of does this awkward little scurry. There's so many funny little moments. Yeah. And then in a very disturbing way, K2 using Hirt as a meat shield was so disgustingly personal. They just literally just showed K2 is blaster proof. Yeah. He just walks through anything. That was intimidation. That was personal. That was an insult. Yeah. And it was one of the funniest in a gross way kind of moments from this show. So I thought, fantastic.
I mean, we can't
clear the path. No shit.
We can't get away, and we might have to dance backwards in talking about Grandma. That great alien that I had to.
Oh my goodness! Yeah.
Alien. Yeah.
I had to really drill down to make sure that she wasn't an ET, but she definitely wasn't. But it was similarly, and we know that ET race, which was named at one point, and it starts with an E, I think. Is part of the Star Wars universe, but I feel like maybe this was a close cousin, or maybe they live on the South Pole where the ETs live on the North Pole. Cousin. I don't know. But that was, that at least delivered without taking away from anything else. One of the things that we love about Star Wars, which is cuddly aliens, cute droids, little fuzzy little Grogus or Porg or whatever it is. But I loved just getting rolled around.
And she's like, what? And then
Yeah.
complete silence for the rest of the ride.
Yeah, right. Yeah, she gets tucked in the corner of Clay's like, I gotta go now. And she's going up the stairs, shooting the guy in the face. And just Clay has run down that hallway. Oh my God! Just it was 3 people. No, it was just her. She has the force of 1,000 men with sticks, like they talk about in, or 100 guys with sticks can take the night, like they talk about in Rogue One. That whole hospital sequence was just dynamite.
Yeah. And like the one man army vibes, very Jedi-esque, and even her attire when she gets on Yavin, I thought was very Jedi-esque. So it's fun in a show that deliberately doesn't show much of the Force and doesn't lean too much into that we still get some of those, like the hallway scene that's usually a Jedi, usually a lightsaber, but it's just Clea being a goddamn badass.
Oh my God.
And I love that. Anything else standing out for you guys? I know we're kind of all over the place. Feel free to go back to any episode at any point.
It's an all over the place segment because it's all kind of one. So yeah, no, I don't know. Yeah, Tiara, please.
Well, you guys were talking about K2SO and the whole like poker opening, and something that K2SO says in that scene, or Melshi actually says it to K2, but he says something like, humans are unpredictable, K, like basically get used to it. And in Rogue One, before K2 sacrifices himself, he says, like, you continuously act unpredictable or surprise me. I forget exactly what he says to Jin, but it just kind of like felt like poetry in that sense to me. So I really liked that line was there. Every time I watch K2, I only think about Alan Tudyk, and I just think about him in his like green screen suit thing on
the ping pong balls. Yeah.
And I just love seeing him because I know how much chemistry that Cassian, Diego, and Alan have on and off screen. So I really like seeing that. And yes, Clea stole the show for sure. I really enjoyed like her. I love the spy-esque like aesthetic to Andor, and I love that we see that a lot with Clea too. In K2, it could be his own horror story, which Tony Gilroy had like touched on a little bit too. That hallway scene was definitely gruesome. I was not expecting that to happen. Yeah. But yeah, overall really liked episode 11. The whole arc was really good.
Mm-hmm. Without, I don't know if there's any other scenes or moments or anything that we want to touch on before I ask a couple of other questions.
I think we need to hop into Dedra, who is the most boy, she got what was coming to her character of this entire show.
Yeah.
Because she is this dedicated from birth as an orphan, because she's like, well, my parents were drug dealers and I grew up in a kinder block, and the Empire's my entire life. And even when I'm not dressed for work, I'm dressed for work because I have the clothes that look the same. And she's just a truly wretched human being. And she's so completely obsessed with like, oh, I can't catch this. I can't catch access, and I can't, so I'm going to do whatever it is, and I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to cut corners, and I'm going to get into stuff I'm not supposed to get into. And she gets busted by the scariest man this side of Darth Vader, who puts a finger on top of her head and says, shh, shut up now. Tell me all your crimes, and then we'll get along well without you, and you can go build Death Star parts for the second Death Star. That's what it is, because you figured I read at that point. Yeah, I read some stats on this. The Death Star was operational for like less than a week, and they got blown up. So talk about like, it's like if it was a head foreman, he would just be like, he'd throw his tools down and just be like, back to work then. Got to get working on that second one.
That's worse than when I bought a car and it got written off after I made my first payment 2 weeks later. I know what that track record. That's a frustrating track record. I was super pissed when that woman made the stop sign.
So you were sympathetic with Krennic, and
100% sympathetic. Yeah, I had woman run a stop sign. That was my Luke Skywalker. I was just like, damn it, come on, man. I've had this for like I made one payment on this damn thing.
Oh my
Are
God.
you serious right now? I didn't even get to blow up anything. It's like one stupid planet and that's it.
Yeah, right.
Horrible. Absolutely horrendous. Did she ever get what was coming to her?
Yeah,
And,
it was good. Yeah, she gambled everything. She lost what she actually acquired, which was her relationship with Mama's boy, whose name I'm forgetting now, and lost that because she screwed it up.
Cyril?
Cyril, thank you.
Yeah.
It was great to see her in the little orange jumpsuit at the end of it, in her little cubby.
A wild twist. Yeah.
That was absolutely didn't see that she was going to get her comeuppance that way. But she was an idiot. Look how she handled everything with Luthen. She made it very easy for him to get out of that situation by going in there by herself, and then let's have a conversation instead of going in there with 50 troops and having them tackle him to the ground and lock him up, and then they could interrogate the shit out of him. But nope, that's okay. I want to go in and say, I gotcha, and then he can stab himself. So good plan.
Yeah, brilliant. It was very surprising to see any of the characters make it out alive.
Yeah.
Saying that she's incarcerated, it was like, oh, she's alive. And I think they have spoken like, we're not going to see her again. Like the showrunners were just kind of like, her story's done. Like she doesn't get out of that prison. That's where she rots. And that's like it kind of thing. That's the end. But with Star Wars, is it ever the end? I think 20 years from now, we'll be learning about the grandmother's great escape from the broom closet she was shoved into and Clea went to murder a hallway full of troopers.
Yeah, right.
Because it's Star Wars, but
gotta have stories. Gotta find stories.
You gotta have stories. That's it. Any other scenes or moments or people or any kind of things stood out for you guys?
I loved the whole I don't even know the word. When Cassian's delivering the message and like all of the senators are like in the circle and they're basically like dismissing him and telling him like that he's being paranoid and they need to think of themselves.
And it's those same two senators. Oh,
yeah. I loved seeing it because it just showed like even on the good side, like they're kind of being hypocritical of what they stand for. And I just loved seeing it being hashed out. And I love that Bail Organa was the one to come and give Cassian the like go ahead. Because we see him for like a little quiet moment in Rogue One, and then we know what happens after that,
right.
So I really love that too. It put so much weight in seeing him in Rogue One in addition to A New Hope. But,
and it does make me curious though, if he's on Yavin. I think I always assumed anyway that the Organas got killed on Alderaan.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he did because there's a line in Rogue One where he says, well, I've got to go back home and let them know that blah, blah, blah. But then a nitpick I can say for next time is that there was no reason for R2-D2 and C-3PO to be on Yavin and then be on the ship, which is then docked on the bottom of the Radis's ship. But we can talk about that later. But that was just
I'm curious, like it would take one writer to be like, hey, we ran out of gas on our way back to Alderaan. Here's the next adventures of of Bail Organa. Because like it's never explicitly been like, he 100% like died, and it's it's canon until it's not canon.
Yeah,
right?
they didn't add a scene in the special editions where he's like at Starbucks and he's like, oh, it's a little warm out today. Exactly.
We've seen that happen a couple of times with different characters, like staring up at, especially in the sequels, like staring up as the laser comes down. Kind of
in the Force Awakens, that's what happened to them.
Until we see that Bail Organa, could have got distracted by a Starbucks run on Yavin and just kind of, and that explains why C-3PO and R2 are there and all that kind of stuff. Like that it could very well be explained away.
Layers, so many layers.
Wasn't there. 100%. The rebels fighting like that and not believing one another shows how close I think they were to
screwing it all up. Yeah.
They're lucky that there were rebels within the rebels.
Who are the good rebels?
There's a farm boy with Skywalker genes
Yeah.
that, you know,
Yeah.
heard a call from his sister who has even more Skywalker genes.
Right.
You know, like there's a lot of luck, and there's a lot of the Force, even though it doesn't play a big
Yes.
deal in this show, but like we see that Force healer
Mm-hmm.
talk about Cassian's destiny
Right.
and being the messenger and being so important. There's a lot of that in this, and him kind of just almost like following the Force or following that guiding
his gut feeling
thing.
being
Yeah.
being
Right?
driven by the Force for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, super interesting. Anything else for you guys?
The music
Oh.
in the last episode. There's no dialogue. It's just him
Yeah,
walking to his ship
Right.
with the music,
That's
showcasing everything they built. Everyone
Yeah.
involved in this show.
That's that's very Star Wars to have, like, because each one of the movies ends with the long music, like the end of Empire, where they're staring out the window and watch the Millennium Falcon fly away, and obviously the ceremony on Yavin at the end of Episode 4, you know, the Ewok mixer at the end of, you know, Episode 6, and so on and so forth.
That final walk. Again, I mentioned these earlier. The Scarif troops. I think a lot of them were the same troops that we saw Melshi with on Scarif,
right?
In Rogue One. Them doing their drills, training the Force healer, looking very distraught and knowing the destiny that Cassian's walking into and what's happening. And
Clea, she's seeing what Luthen and her sacrificed for.
Yep,
100%. Just like even Cassian's little nod to the Force healer of like,
I get it now.
Yeah.
I can see this clearly. I know what I'm walking into, and I accept it as a sunrise that I'll never see. Oof. And it's going to be bright, but we're going to make it happen. Like it is.
Yeah.
I thought a perfect ending until I saw Bix and B2 and Baby Andor, and then it was even more perfect, and my heart shattered, and I haven't been the same since. Crazy.
I heard people saying that when the baby cries, it's because it can sense that Cassian has passed away, and then he's settled down, and Bix kind of like smiles because she knows that, like, we know her leaving, it was for the right reasons, and it all worked out, you know, for the ultimate good.
Could be.
Yeah.
I see that. Yeah.
So I have a couple of things, and I'm going to jump to one that's based on that first, and it's Baby Andor would be roughly 30 years old during the sequels.
Mm-hmm.
Are we seeing this baby again?
No.
Do you guys want to see this baby again at all?
I want this. Yeah.
Leave the baby be.
Let
him have a normal life.
We have to dial out we have to start to dispel this notion that everybody knows everybody, that it's the MCU, everything has to be connected. Just let the baby live on the wheat planet with the wheat and be happy with the wheat. And I'm going to say wheat some more.
Happy ending.
Let's just have them never be seen again and know that they're going to be okay. So no bringing it back. No, I grew up to be, you know, or, you know, the people who are idiots were like, oh, that's Poe Dameron as a baby. Or we're like, oh,
it's not. We saw Poe Dameron's parents in the comic books.
Do some research before saying stupid things.
Granted, stuff can be rewritten, and
it was in this show. So
yes,
100%.
Yes,
but Poe Dameron's parents were important characters in the comics for many years. That would be shitty, but doesn't mean it couldn't happen.
Yeah,
absolutely. They proved in this show a couple of times that they don't really give a crap with canon unless it's in like the movies or live action shows,
like in Star Trek,
for better or for worse. But like, so you guys don't, you know, Star Wars, Starfighter,
no, pass,
hanging out.
Absolutely not.
I'm with you. I wanted to throw that in to see if
it was a test and you passed.
I wanted to see the reactions, and I wanted to see especially like if people like read into the Discord and stuff like that. I want to get people's opinions on that kind of thing, because like everything in Star Wars is always connected.
I know you got to start to break away.
Which is
breaking
fine,
it.
but if everything is connected, then it's like,
Yeah.
where is there room for new characters and new
Right.
stories
That's it.
and lives
And
that
that's
Right.
why I specifically pointed to Starfighter, is because they're pitching this as like it's disconnected from everything and it's in a
Standalone,
new
right.
time. It's like 5-6 years after Rise of Skywalker in a different place with different characters. And I threw that into there to be a little trolly, because they're pitching this as like this
It's
whole
no good.
Ryan Gosling's leading a whole new cast of not characters that aren't connected. And I was like, hey, his age would make him a perfect part of Ryan Gosling's squad.
You're just trying to start stuff here.
Knock
it
out.
I'm just being a bit of a troll. I will let's start like wrap this up, I suppose. With where does Star Wars go from here? Todd Oxtra asked, do you think the critical acclaim of Andor will influence future Star Wars projects where it leans into more mature storytelling?
You got to.
Does Star Wars have
You
to
got
be
to.
all serious, or can it still be kind of light? Can we have Endgame followed by
Ant-Man 3?
like I don't want to say
Love
one
and
of the
Thunder?
shitty ones.
Yeah.
I
Well,
was thinking, like,
it's tough to talk anything Marvel after Endgame and be like, can we have something good? We didn't have anything good. We had very few. But
I was thinking more Shang-Chi. That's like
Yeah.
maybe not as emotionally
Right.
hitting
or
heavy.
could you
It's just
have
like a cool action movie.
Endgame and then Deadpool and Wolverine, which is
that's my
100%.
example. Yeah, they're in the same universe.
I think, and again, Marvel being in the last 6 years and traditionally a very tough place with quality and with are the best days behind us. Let's hope not. The same, the problem is, could the argument be made here? But this has set a benchmark for so many of us, myself included, that this Andor is the best thing they've ever done for me. Peak Star Wars for me. I put it above, and again, I've been a fan since the beginning. They can't let go of this momentum. Something else has to follow, but it can't all be like, and now it's all death and killing, because again, my favorite meme about this, like, here's the Empire in the original trilogy, and it's like a puppy, and here it is in Andor, and it's a werewolf. So it's like, yes, they can really ramp it up, but do they, is there a way to bring it back down? Is it a way to have your Freemaker adventures and your Resistance cartoon? And can you have the skeleton crew-esque kind of thing? Yes. All things don't have to be all things to all people all the time. There are different segments of any fan base at different stages of life. Old people like me, young people, like our guest, and then Mark somewhere in the middle, who can enjoy different things, and everybody can. It would be great if everybody could respect that, but of course we know we're never going to get it. But it would be great. So yes, I want to see this continue, but it can't be all that there is. Because then then it turns into the Snyderverse, which I know is
thank you. That was going to be my example. I was going to say Batman Begins, which is 20 years old this week.
Yeah.
I think led directly into like the decline of fun with DC properties that like straight up led into the Snyderverse just becoming this like super serious, like you're talking about a billionaire that wears a bat costume and beats up mentally insane people. Stop taking yourself so seriously. Get your head out of your ass and just have some fun with it.
Let's go back to Batman 66, please.
And I'm hoping we're seeing that with the new Superman movie, but it's taken some years and some reboots and some really stubborn fans. So I hope this doesn't tell Star Wars that this is all that Star Wars can be, but I hope that they take this seriously and realize, like, give your creative teams control.
Yep.
Because this creative team has been notoriously, like, Disney gave them one note to say, don't say fuck the Empire at the end of season 1. Otherwise, I think they've been fairly hands off with as far as like notes and changing this and that.
And look what they were able to do. This is incredible.
Give them time to have solid writing, solid production, like give things the budgets and time that they deserve, rather than, I think what happened to the decline of Marvel, and James Gunn just talked about this, was Marvel had to hit a quota of like, we need 6 projects a year. And
Right.
it was just like, but they're not ready. James Gunn just shut down a movie because the script wasn't good enough. No one knows what it is, but he was just like, yeah, I just killed a project.
Yeah.
Absolutely. At
And you're not
DC.
going to know because
Because
it sucks. Yeah.
the screenplay wasn't up to my standards. It's not being released. We have some other stuff, but nothing's being released until it's up to the quality that I need it to be.
Yeah. I love it.
And
Yeah.
I think they kind of need that approach. Tiara, how you feeling about the future of Star Wars now that Andor has come and gone?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of with both of you. I think it's a nice blueprint to show what Star Wars can be outside of the Force, outside of not outside of the Skywalker story, but like its own, kind
Outside
of
enough.
yeah, outside of enough, for all these new characters, and I like, the seriousness. I will say I don't want an R-rated Star Wars project. Like, you
Yeah.
can have seriousness and intensity and show maliciousness without being R-rated. I don't want something like Deadpool and Wolverine, but
Right.
I like variation, and like all Star Wars is for everyone, but not all Star Wars is for everyone, if that makes sense.
Exactly.
You know,
Precisely. Yeah.
so I mean, like, we have things like Skeleton Crew and the Acolyte and Andor, and they're all very different ways of storytelling within the Star Wars universe. And I think that's what makes Star Wars so beautiful for us as a community and for people, that there's places where people can connect to characters that they see themselves in, or stories or themes or whatever it is. And so I think that's important to take forward. But this is a very nice blueprint / refreshing type of
Right.
storytelling, because like I had said earlier, like I just felt like there wasn't a whole lot of plot holes, and like things were kind of wrapped up in nice little bows, and like it just added to characters that we already know and love. And I think that's something that is essential for the Star Wars
Yeah.
universe. So
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Well put.
Awesome.
Any other notes, final thoughts, feelings before we wrap up?
I was
love
just glad.
Andor. That's it.
Yeah, I was just glad. You know what? I was just glad to be there when the wheel went round. They nailed it, and if this is as good as it gets, we can be happy with this as good as it gets. But there's always more stories to be told, like Tiana was saying. So the next thing, will anything ever top this? I don't know. I doubt it. But wouldn't you like to find out? It'd be pretty incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. Looking forward to seeing how this show influences even things in production.
Right.
You know, will they take Ahsoka season 2 a little bit more seriously? Will they step up the writing, or step up this storytelling, and be able to take it as seriously as this show did?
Right.
Same thing with Mandalorian and Grogu. Mandalorian for me is like peak Star Wars. Outside of like movies and stuff, I still love the Western feel. I love that father-son story. I love how it can, like, season 2 specifically was just like, I think still tops even Andor for me, for what I want out of Star Wars, which is still a little bit lighter than Andor gave me, something that I could watch with my kid. But like, I hope this influences other Star Wars, whatever it is, aside from like the kids' cartoons. But like, I hope it elevates everything else. To a different standard. So,
for sure.
We will see. Tiara, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah.
This has been an absolute pleasure.
Oh yeah.
And a blast to have you. When I think of Andor, I think of Bix.
And you are Bix.
Absolutely nailing that
thank
cosplay.
you. Yes.
And completely owning that cosplay, for my mind. So tell people, speaking of your cosplays, where they can follow you and see the amazing stuff that you have done and that you're working on.
Yeah, so it's all under Crafton on Ilum. I am on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. I post mostly on Instagram, and on my YouTube, I do a lot of vlogs involving the process for my cosplays, conventions, and I also love video games. So I've been streaming Jedi Survivor. Still haven't finished the game, and I've also avoided most spoilers. I have encountered like 1 or 2, but I'm very proud of myself for avoiding those spoilers. So I'm hoping to finish that sometime soon. So definitely, if those things interest you, cosplays, collecting, as you can see in my background, if you like those types of things, you can follow me on all those platforms.
Excellent.
I was just talking about how great those games are with a friend of mine, maybe a week ago, if that. I don't even think it was that. and how much I would love to replay them on Switch 2 now that it can handle a little bit more power
Oh
and a
yeah.
little bit more. Like, I would replay the hell out of those games, and I could just fire them back up on my Xbox right now. But
It's just
something about
convenient to
like
have with you
being
portable.
able to play in
Yeah.
a handheld
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
fashion, something that
Yeah.
I've already finished the big story and I just want to like pick at.
Yeah.
So here's hoping for like a re-release collection or something like that I can
Yeah.
play handheld. But
Awesome.
yeah, absolutely. Everyone go follow Crafting on Ilum.
Yes,
Links
do
are in the
it.
show notes if you can't keep that in your mind. Charlie.
Who, little old me?
Yeah.
I can be found on the big three, at least big three for me. That would be Threads, Blue Sky, and Instagram as @thec3, TheCeeThree. But spend a hell of a lot of time on our Secret Friends Unite Discord. That is a great place to have chats about all pop culture, whether it be Star Wars, Star Trek, video games, movies, TVs, comics, and etc. Come join us there. If you don't find us, send one of us a ping, and we will invite you and get you in the door. But that's the place to be. Mark.
I'm mainly hanging out on Instagram, so I'm just going to share that and our Discord group. So Canardian_Jedi over on Instagram, and you can find my link tree there if you're curious about any other places. I do want to say one thing to both of you and our friends in the States. The world's a little crazy right now. Everyone's watching, everyone's with you. You have friends everywhere.
Thank you. Oh, wow.
Love
Means
that.
a whole lot more now. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right. Well, friends, that is the show as always. And Mark, I'm doing your part now. We flip it around. But I'm going to tell you as always that sharing is caring, and to keep on trucking.
May the force be with you. Rex, play us out.